I think this is one of the greatest crises in the history of the church. And because of that, um, many people are being forced to do things that they don't want to do because they know that they are against the respect the Eucharist deserves. For example, a lot of people contact me and share with me the pain they feel because they are being obliged to receive communion in the hand, and they don't want to do that. Or priests who are obliged to give communion in the hands, and they don't want to do that. And with the excuse of the pandemic, communion in the hand was imposed almost everywhere, and now is remaining this way. There is no way back. There is no step back, and that is like trampling on the sensus fide of the faithful. So we should not obey always, no matter what. That's what you're saying, because we have to obey God first. And but I have heard people who defend a blind obedience to church authorities. They always use the example of San Padre Pio da Pietrelcina. He was punished unjustly by a pope. That's what I understand. And he accepted this punishment, unjust punishment, in silence. He obeyed in silence. And so people say, you see, this is what saints do. They obey always, no matter what. So, how can we understand this example of obedience from Padre Pio?
Well, this is not true. I already gave the examples of saints which did not obey to the popes, Saint Athanasius. So we have an example. The servant of God, Cardinal Mizzenti, who is now on the way to be beatified. And we can adduce some other cases in the history of the Church of saints who could not always blindly accept all the orders. It depends. So, in the case of Padre Pio, it was his own individual life. So he accepted this. When it is touching our own, I would say, individual personal issues, then we should obey in silence. But when it is the matter of the public Catholic faith or the public Catholic tradition, which would be diminished and damaged, so then we have not to obey because of the greater good. I repeat, when, let us say, a priest will be transferred from one parish to another, he has to obey in silently. This is his personal issue. But when a priest would be forced to give Holy Communion in hand, knowing that the fragments, particles are falling down, and almost in every case of communion in hand, they are lost, the particles, and falling on the floor. So we cannot obey here. This is not a personal issue of mine. It is an issue of the Lord and of the entire church, for example. We have to distinguish. Or when the Pope, let us say, would say to me, he deposes me from my office, which I am now. I will accept this. I will not rebel because I am not necessary in the church as such. But when the Pope will say to me, I have to give communion to the divorced and remarried, or I have to give communion to LGBT people, then I will refuse these. I cannot collaborate with such things. So you see, we have to distinguish. When it's an issue of my personal life, and so I have to obey in silence. When, I repeat, is touching the public good of the church, the integrity of the Catholic faith, the morals, and the dignity of the Holy Eucharist, then we cannot obey. It would be a wrong obedience.